Good evening, everyone. Before we begin the meeting, we are going to have a special proclamation. We'll ask the council members that are here, along with our city administrators, to kindly come forward at this time. Good evening. So we have the opportunity to come together as a city and actually recognize some of the unsung heroes within our city. Very often we look to certain people that we give awards to, that we recognize, and at this time I'm going to ask Veronica Dale if she would come forward as we present her with a special proclamation from the city of Long Beach. Veronica, you are a hero and a shero within our city, and I'd like to share why. This proclamation reads, and is an explanation to all of you who are unaware of the great strength and courage that you possess. Whereas the city of Long Beach wishes to recognize those who are committed to the betterment of the city and the lives of our residents, and whereas the city of Long Beach does desire to publicly acknowledge Veronica Dale, a bus driver for the Long Beach Public Schools, who while on her bus route saved the life of a student seated in the back of the bus who had began to choke on food. And the student is here. We're going to celebrate her in one moment. Whereas responding swiftly and without hesitation, Veronica Dale pulled the bus over and immediately began to administer the Heimlich maneuver, dislodging the food from the student's mouth, allowing the student to breathe once again. And that, again, is a heroic act. Now and therefore, the City Council, along with the City Manager, as well as the entire City of Long Beach, in recognition of her exemplary service to our community by saving the life of a young student, we proudly present this proclamation to Veronica Dale. Signed by Mrs. Moore, Council President, John Winter, Mr. Vice President, John Lyman, Councilmember, Councilmember Orlando, Councilmember Scott Mandel, as well as our Acting City Manager, Robert Anastasi. We salute you today for taking the time to make a difference not only in the life of this young lady, but in the lives of her family members and the entire Long Beach community. We salute you. And I have to say, on behalf of Councilman Mandel, who was unable to be here this evening due to a family emergency, he wanted to send his sincere wishes and congratulations to you. Again, we salute you, Veronica Dale. Jillian, again, we're just so happy to have you here this evening. We are so happy that, again, you had the opportunity to know that you are loved in the City of Long Beach, and that she's definitely, as she wrote to you, we wish you all the best in the upcoming school year, Jillian. Thank you. Thank you. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the August 20th meeting. We want to just acknowledge the fact that there have been some changes made in terms of signing up for this evening's good and welfare. We are changing the regular tradition with respect to handing out cards. There should be a sign-up sheet before you, which means that if you signed up today and you signed up first, you will be called first today. So we just want to make sure that we respect your time. If you have had the opportunity to sign in, that you would do so at this time. We will make every effort to make sure that you are called in a timely fashion.
Good evening and welcome to a regular meeting of the Council of the City of Long Beach on Tuesday, August 20th, 2019, at 7 p.m. From a roll call, Councilmember Diamond is absent. Councilmember Orlando. Here. Councilmember Mandel is absent. Vice President Mandel.
Present.
President Moore.
Present.
Let the record indicate the presence of Acting City Manager Robert Anastasi and the City Corporation Council Richard Darius. We'll have a salute to the flag.
Okay, we'll ask Councilman Anthony Orlando to help us in this. We do not have a city manager's report, so I'm just going to move right into the city council report. We felt it was very important that twice a month we have the opportunity to address you as residents, that you are aware of what's taking place within our city and all of the actions that the city council as a body is actually taking. First, I need to let you know that since our last meeting, I've had the opportunity to communicate via email with our council members as well as to meet with the exempts, including the acting city manager. The following items were outlined. One, the need for improved communication within the council, communication between the city manager and the city council, as well as the city with the residents. Second, we had a conversation about ways in which we can actually restore public trust. The council requested information regarding the commissions and boards, dates, times, expiration, so that we can have a better sense of what's taking place within our city. The council also requested an organizational chart of all employees. We're looking at the reporting flow, along with all of those members, respective members. Thirdly, the council is currently revisiting Government HR, which was a search firm that was approved earlier this year. Third, we discussed ways in which we could maximize communication with our residents. The council agenda will now be shared on Facebook to maximize resident access to information effective immediately. Also, a FAQ, an actual information sheet, will be created to encourage residents to contact the city rather than to, again, alert people on Facebook. Why are we doing this? Because we have a lot of new members who are part of our community and they're not aware of the numbers. Who do I call if there's brown water? Who do I call if I see a running hydrant? What do I do? And so we're going to be releasing that shortly so that everyone will have a copy, and once again, you'll have the opportunity to connect with us. More importantly, a work session has been scheduled on Monday, September 9th at 6:30 p.m. All members of our community are encouraged to attend. Please be aware that this is a work session only, which means that this will not include public comment. However, the session will be live streamed. This session will provide reports from departments and units so that we can shape future agenda. Also, this will provide sound decision making, and we thank all of you for your patience in advance. Transparency is also a priority for us. Open government creates reports that educate the public about the city's finances. Moreover, this platform helps to establish goals for departments, programs, initiatives, and then tracks them while simultaneously keeping the residents updated on spending, performance, and progress. I contacted Open Government and was informed that during Mr. Sherman's tenure, the platform was actually utilized in some capacity before he left, his team left. I also learned that some aspects of Open Government are still available to our present city administration. A demonstration is being set up sometime in September. The city administration will participate, and the council will also participate on a smaller level to review the demonstration once it becomes available. Our network specialist, Jamie Roman, along with our city clerk, Dave Frazier, are also exploring other platforms, which include Socrata Open Finance. It's my understanding that New York City also uses this particular platform, and we will also keep you updated. Census 2020 is a priority for all of us as we seek a complete count so that we can maximize our resources as a city. We're pleased to announce the city has heard back from the census on the additional addresses that were submitted last year through the census LUCA program. They have accepted 535 new and corrected addresses, which means that those living at those addresses will be contacted to complete the actual census form. This is a major achievement for our city as we work to make sure that we have a complete count. We want to once again thank Ray Flammer and his staff, Rebecca, Patty Bourne, and Ryan McTiernan for their work on this effort. The 2019 Long Beach Movie Nights will conclude with Ralph Breaks the Internet on August 24th at 7:30 p.m. on Lincoln Beach. A special 31st. A special thanks to the East Home Civic Association, the West End Neighbor Civic Association, the West Home and Walk Civic Association, Senator Todd Kaminsky, and the City of Long Beach for making this annual summer event possible. As I conclude the report, the last item is indeed a serious one and reflects my viewpoint solely as a leader of the council. By now, everyone is aware of the Newsday article and or the television segments which reference our former city manager and the questionable payouts. There are 2 council members on this dais that voted against the bond to call attention to the alleged improper payouts in April of 2018, and I am one of them. Last year, we were advised to stay out of it as the investigation was taking form. It is now 16 months later, and the council, at least some of us, still remain in the dark. We urge the Napoli and the Expenditure to, at this time, conclude their investigations with respect to the overview of the payouts now, without fear or special favor. They need to reveal their findings immediately. Although many of us have focused in on the monies that are owed to us by Mr. Chairman, this is bigger and has larger implications. Once again, this not only involves our former city manager, the former and current, but it also involves the former and current employees, co-conspirators, if you will, who signed the former city manager's claim form. Furthermore, payouts were made to these individuals, thousands of dollars, to some of whom have never left city employment. This is a clear abuse of power. This is a clear abuse of public trust. What steps does the administration need to take to assist the Napoli and Singus at this time so that we can have some answers? Lastly, questions have been raised regarding legal costs that have been expended during the investigative process. As taxpayers, are the taxpayers' money being used to protect those that allegedly took money from them? We need to know who is protecting the people of Long Beach. We will get to the bottom of this, and we intend to seek restitution for all that is owed to our city. This concludes my report, and we'll move forward at this time.
Thank you, Council President. I'd just like to make a motion, because we do not have a supermajority. I'd like to make a motion to table items 1, 2, 4, and 7, including the public hearings. And I'd like to also renotice 1, 2, 4, and 7, and the public hearings where applicable.
Okay, I will second that motion at this time.
We have a motion to table. Councilmember Malone.
Yes.
Councilmember Benda.
Yes.
President Moore.
Yes.
Items 1, 2, 4, and 7 have been tabled, along with the public hearings. So we'll go right into the calendar and right to item number 3, which is resolution declaring the city of Long Beach lead agency for certain FEMA HMP building projects, declaring such projects to constitute unlisted actions and adopting negative declarations.
The capital plan has a number of items that we were pending to bond for. We're not going to be entertaining the public hearing tonight. However, there's no reason we can't proceed with the conclusion of the environmental review. Many of those projects, most of those projects are and have been designated as Type 2 actions pursuant to SECRET, the State Environmental Quality Review Act, meaning it's been legislatively predetermined and has no significant environmental impact. So we just need the council to declare it as much and issue the neg deck, including on the, I think, 3 projects shown that are unlisted at this point, that we have short EAS in here, environmental assessment forms. That's something you're required to do for actions that are unlisted under SECRET, meaning they don't fall under Type 1 or Type 2. The same exact thing we did on the critical infrastructure land acquisition with respect to the town of Hempstead. We have included the EAS with these resolutions for purposes of transparency. So we need the council to do 3 things in order to bond for anything in the capital plan. Number 1, declare itself lead agency. Number 2, adopt the experts' short EAS or environmental assessment forms. And number 3, issue negative declarations, and the council is still able to do that today.
All right, thank you for the clarification. Are there any questions from members of the council? Seeing none, are there any questions from members of the public? Questions? I recognize Mr. Roy Lester.
Good afternoon, Roy Lester, Long Beach. Just 2 quick questions. Some of them are listed because I don't know. It says that the city council has reviewed said findings with which it concurs. Was that just a review, or did you have your own experts that talk to you outside of the people who put in these findings?
Yeah, we retain experts. It's listed.
No, I know. When you concur with the findings, you're concurring with the people you hired. You had nobody to tell whether they were right. Is that correct?
Well, that's the purpose of the experts, right? I mean, that's what they're paid to do.
So in other words, you hire experts and then you concur with their findings. And you have no independent, city council has no independent oversight over this except to say, we hired you, so you're right.
No, they can disagree, but this is the oversight. You're seeing it take place right now. It's the purpose of this.
What I'm asking is there any independent oversight that the city council has, other than saying, you know, we have this expert that we paid, we have their report, you're correct?
Maybe it'd be easier if you just once again explain what the whole purpose is for Thefor. Maybe just talk a little bit
No,
more
I
about it.
understand what it's for. I understand. All I'm asking is.
But for the other people who are listening in, I just want to make sure for clarity.
No, there's no independent legislative oversight over the expert. That's what the administration is for. It's executive oversight. And then it's either affirmed or denied by the legislative body. That's how it works.
So you blank, so-called line with just whatever the expert says, that's what you agree with. Okay.
I recognize this memorandum.
Yeah, to the council, you know, the first.
Can everyone hear it in the back? Okay.
The first brush on this is the engineering department. Myself and the deputy commissioner, we look through these projects, and we go through and we do our own internal secret evaluations of what we think it is, and then we refer it to the specialists, the engineering firms that are hired to do the design on these projects, and they review it, and they concur with our findings that these were unlisted projects.
So there is, so you have Mr. Miranda looking it over. That's what I wanted to know, was there any, and it's good to hear that he looks it over. And the other thing is on 13A, when we're talking about the Indiana Firehouse, it asks, is there any portion of the site of the proposed action or lands adjoining the proposed action containing wetlands or other water bodies regulated by federal, state, or local agency? Doesn't that adjoin the bay front? The Indiana Firehouse?
Yeah, but it has a bulkhead, so it's not actually attached to the bayfront.
That's not considered adjoining?
No, because of the bulkhead.
Oh, okay. All right, thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other questions at this time? Seeing none, we move forward.
Okay, item 5 is a resolution authorizing the city manager to apply for and accept if awarded a New York State Environment Facilities Corporation Water Infrastructure Improvement Act grant for the construction of covers for the open air treatment basins at the Long Beach Water Treatment Plant project for the maximum total cost of $800,000.
So just to clarify, with respect to the two grant applications that we left on the agenda for tonight, we are required to bond for the entire scope of a project, as that project has been estimated by our experts and our engineers, in order to submit the grant application. So while there's nothing to preclude the council from authorizing me to enter into these agreements tonight, it's with one important caveat. They can't be submitted, or alternatively, they'll certainly be denied by the state if we haven't authorized the bonds appropriately on item 22.
Okay, and in terms of the grant, is there a deadline with respect to the grant application?
Yes, September 15th.
Yep, that was for the purpose of the ordinance. Okay, are there any other questions from the council? Okay, we'll open it up to the public. Are there questions with respect to item number 5? Okay, seeing none, we move forward.
Item 6 is a resolution authorizing the city manager to apply for and accept if awarded a New York State Environmental Facilities Corporation Water Infrastructure Improvement Act grant for the 1.25 million gallon elevated water storage tank project for a maximum cost of $9,240,540.
I'd just like to issue the same caveat that I did with item number 5.
All right, any questions with respect to item number 6? from the council? All right, at this time, we'll open the floor once again. Any questions with respect to item number 6 from the public? And I recognize Mary Bowles.
Mary Wallace, Long Beach. Is this, Mr. Murdo, I guess, Mr. Doty, sorry. Would this be, remember I mentioned that the governor had monies up for grants to upgrade water systems? Is this what this is, or is this like a Band-Aid that we're
No,
putting on?
this is a major upgrade to the system. To eventually will replace 2 storage tanks, one that's 110 years old and one that's 75 years old. And this is through the Water Infrastructure Improvement Act that the government has passed.
Okay, so that would now all be covered, right? The whole
No, negative. The maximum we can cover is 60% of the project, or up to $3 million. So if we were to get the maximum on this project, we would get $3 million. And we would still need to finance $6 million. The standpipe is beyond repair, so it needs to come down. The elevated tank is facing, in the next couple of years, probably a $3 million paint job.
Well, I'd rather see us like have the ball, things like that, than other things. So, thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other questions? Mr. Lester?
I know we talked about the tank before, and it would take a while to build this, I understand.
Well, we have money appropriated in this year's capital budget to take down the standpipe, which is the tall, thin 1 million gallon tank, which actually we can only use 360,000 gallons of because of pressure gradients. But in that money is also the design, so that we could go right out to bid once the next year's capital budget is approved or the grant's approved, and then we would probably take about a year to build the tank.
Now, right now, we don't know for sure how much we're getting in the grant, is that correct? Or is it
That's correct. We can get up to $3 million.
Or is there any minimum that we can get?
Zero.
So when we're talking about, assuming we got the maximum, we're talking about a $6.4 million bond.
Just-
A $6.2 million bond, I'm sorry. Would that have to be all bonded within 1 year?
That would have to be bonded. What we've done is, with the help of our new controller, we went through some of the options. If we do not get the grant, we still also have an option to bond this through EFC, which would give us some better financing. Worst case scenario is that we have to do a serial bond, a public improvement serial bond, and we would bond it for 30 years, and the additional would create an increase in the rates on water fund revenues of 7.5%, or $26 per household on an average bill. Best case scenario is we get the $3 million and we finance through the EFC, and that would create a 4.5% increase on total water fund revenues, which would be an increase of about $15 per residential bill annually.
Do we have any idea what the bond would cost us as far as the rate goes?
This CMA figured the cost of the issues in all their calculations on these bonds.
I'm sorry, they figured the cost already?
Yes, they figured the cost of going out to bonding into the numbers that we used.
And what was that number?
I don't have all them on hand, but I don't know if Ina's here, she might know them offhand.
Good evening.
Okay, I'll try to answer the question. Can everyone hear me well in the back?
Yes.
I have a couple of scenarios, but of course there's the total interest. So if we were to borrow $9 million for
her so that she can,
You guys can walk.
thank you.
Okay. So, I assume that none of that was heard, whatever I said before, and I'll repeat it again.
Thank you.
If we were to borrow $9 million for the period of 30 years, an interest rate as it stands now obviously is not the same as it would be when we were going for the borrowing. And that would be probably in calendar 2020 because we wouldn't know the outcome of the grant approval process until sometimes later in calendar 2019. But if by the course you need the total interest payment over the life of the bond, it would cost the city about $3,473,000, about $3.5 million. If we were to finance the same $9 million over 40 years, the payments, annual payments would be lower, but obviously the total cost to the city would be higher, and total interest payment over the life of the bond of 40 years would be $5,341,000. If we were to receive $3 million grant from the state and did not finance it through the state, for 30 years it would cost the city about $2.3 million. $6 million for 30 years, it would cost the city about $2.3 million. I don't have the numbers for this with EFC today, but it would be about the same $2.3 million. I don't have the exact number.
Is it fair to say that it would also be very difficult to establish an exact number because the interest rates fluctuate over a period of time, or it's... Okay.
It's impossible. It's what the rates are right now, and it's obviously a function of where the rates will be when we go for the bonding. But as we get closer to that and ready to bond, we would have a better idea, and those estimates would become sure.
No, thank you. I mean, I'm aware that it's impossible, and I just wanted to make sure that people who are watching this live stream understand the complexity of the issue. Thank you for the clarification. Are there any other questions, Mr. Lester?
Just one here. Would the grant, would you get the grant up front, or would it be given to us piecemeal?
The grant would be paid to us after we expended the funds and go to pay down the bond.
So we would have to bond for the grant?
We would do a bond anticipation note, and then when the project was done, we would get paid by the state, and then we would just bond long-term the remaining balance.
So we have to bond the money?
We'd have to bond the money, correct?
Okay, all right, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Are there any other questions with respect to item number 6? Seeing none, we'll move forward.
Item 7 has been tabled. Item 8 is a resolution authorizing the acting city manager to amend the agreement for removal and replacement of the police and fire department split air conditioning and heating system.
All right. Once again, Commissioner Miranda.
Okay, during the course of the project to replace the HVAC system in the police station, we needed to make some changes to the contract. Well, first of all, we needed to expend $20,000 for temporary AC because the project started in the heat of the summer, so we couldn't have emergency personnel working in a hot area like that. Second, we needed to do an independent steel inspection for the tonnage that supports the HVAC system on the roof. That needed to be paid for by the city through the contractor. Third was asbestos air monitoring, which needs to be independent of the contractor's work. And the fourth item was the detectives informed us that the vents that exist in the detective's office when they come down below their papers all over, so we had to change the type of vent we put in so that instead of it coming straight down, it goes out to the sides. We had a $20,000 contingency in the contract, so that pretty much was used up by the temporary AC. So to take care of those 3 items, we needed another $10,371.
Thank you. Are there any questions from members of the council at this time? right, at this time, are there any questions from members of the public? I'm looking for someone else, but I guess it's you, Mr. Lester. Come forward.
I think I'm the only one that reads it.
Why don't you sit in the front row?
Why don't you read it? Okay, if I'm not mistaken, was this a $240,000 project? I'm trying to remember.
No, it was 430,000.
Okay. I know we had gone through this project quite a bit, and several times. And I guess I'm a little upset that we had somebody who, you know, a high-tech air conditioning service that had bid on it and, you know, gone through it and looked at it and didn't find $30,000 worth of errors, so to speak. Now, I know we have $20,000 in contingency, but that still doesn't mean we're not $30,000 over budget, you know?
But I just want to clarify something. Those
Yeah.
weren't errors in the contract. The one item, the $20,000, was so that we could supply temporary AC. That was not part of the contract. The steel inspection is required to be done by an independent source paid through the contract. And in addition, the asbestos air monitoring is required that we hire the monitor to make sure that the test is done legitimately, and then the contents paid through the contract. The only extra really was the change in events, and that was about, I think, offhand, I don't want to say exactly, but I think it was between $3,000 to $4,000 extra to change events.
So I don't understand. We knew about the temporary air conditioning, and yet we put $20,000 aside for contingency. If we know about temporary air conditioning that we have to pay,
Well,
why
if
are we
you
putting
recall-
$20,000 aside for the air?
If you recall, when we bid this contract, it was bid in the winter, okay? And it was not awarded because of the high price, and we were looking to try to do something different, and all those options turned out to be much more costly to, like, put temporary air conditioning into the police headquarters for the entire year would have been over $200,000. So it was
I
a
remember.
turnabout. So we awarded this project to the contractor late. If we had awarded it when we originally wanted to, then we wouldn't have needed the temporary air conditioning, and the $20,000 contingency would have been more than enough.
Why did we use
Unforeseen
contingency
situation.
money that we knew we had already spent? Why did we put it as contingency money? That's not contingency.
We put contingency in every contract.
Right.
And we lay out.
Not when you know you're going to spend it. That's
We
not.
didn't know at the time we bid the contract. If you listen to what I said, when we bid the contract, we thought the work would be done in the winter and we would not need the temporary AC. The contract was delayed in being awarded, and therefore it required temporary AC.
So you say, when you say the additional work totaling $30,000, that was mostly, you say 27,000 of that was the temporary AC generator rental?
No, 22,000 was.
22,000. Okay,
All right, thank you.
it's just the planning. All right, thanks.
But you can't, it's hard to plan for the future when something like this happens. It was an unforeseen situation. I think we all remember that, and we're glad that we're moving forward. Are there any other questions at this time? All right, now seeing that, we move forward.
Item 9 is a resolution authorizing the acting city manager to enter into an agreement for design engineering services for the secondary digester cover replacement at the city's wastewater treatment plant.
Okay. After we finished the project of cleaning the two digesters down at the plant, we were seeding the second digester. So these digesters have movable roofs to trap methane gas. They're steel roofs. One of the vents failed to open when we were transferring sludge from one tank to another, and the roof on the secondary digester buckled. So we cannot use that secondary digester right now. So it required to go out for an RFP to have a design for replacement. We had 3 proposals. CDM Smith was the middle cost proposal. However, in C.D. Smith's proposal, the thing we liked was they were the one proposal that said we could look at doing a repair since the plant is going to be shut down, hopefully by 2022, and therefore make a temporary repair where the digester can still be used, so they need to get inside that tank. So we thought it was the most, we thought it was the best proposal by the review committee to move forward and try to come up with a more economical way to replace the roof, which could
Okay, thank you. Are there any questions from the council at this time?
So just for clarity, the 96,760 is if they have to replace, correct?
The 9670 is if they do the complete, they'll do all the due diligence on looking at replacing first. But if it can't be repaired, then they'll have to design replacement, and we will run the full $96,000.
So, but if they can repair, they'll be saved.
Right, they will not be doing the repair, they'll be doing the design for the repair.
Are there any other questions from the members of the council? All right, we'll open the floor to the residents at this time. Are there any questions at this time? All right, seeing none, we move forward.
Item 10 is a resolution authorizing publication of a notice of public hearing of an application to waive Wall Street parking requirements for premise 278 West Park Avenue for a protein shake, juice bar, and supplement store. This item is for publication only, and hearing will be held September 3rd at 7 p.m. Item 11 is a resolution authorizing publication of a notice of public hearing of an application to waive Wall Street parking requirements for premise 880 West Beach Street for a wellness center and CBD-related products store. This item is for publication only, and hearing will be held September 3rd at 7 p.m. Now on to the vote. Okay, so we'll start with item 3, resolution declaring the city of Long Beach lead agency for certain FEMA HMP building projects, declaring said projects to constitute unlisted actions and adopting negative declarations. Introduce the adoption of this item.
I will.
Second.
I will.
Voting. Councilmember Ramos.
Yes.
Councilmember Bennett.
Yes.
President Moore.
Yes.
Item 5 is a resolution authorizing the city manager to apply for and accept, if awarded, a New York State Environmental Facilities Corporation Water Infrastructure Improvement Act grant for the construction of covers for the open-air treatment basins at the Long Beach Water Treatment Plant project for a maximum total cost of $800,000.
I will.
Yes.
Yes.
Item 6 is a resolution authorizing the city manager to apply for and accept, if awarded, a New York State Environmental Facilities Corporation Water Infrastructure Improvement Act grant for the 1.25 million gallon elevated water storage tank project at a maximum cost of $9,240,540,000. Introducing to the adoption of this item.
I will.
Second.
I will.
Voting. Councilmember Ramos.
Yes.
Vice President Bennett.
Yes.
President Moore.
Yes.
Item 8 is a resolution authorizing the acting city manager to amend an agreement for the removal and replacement of the police and fire department split air conditioning and heating system. Introduce the adoption of this item.
I will.
Second.
I will.
Voting. Councilmember Ramos.
Yes.
Vice President Bennett.
Yes.
President Moore.
Yes.
Item 9 is a resolution authorizing the acting city manager to enter into an agreement for the design engineering services for the secondary digester cover replacement at the city's wastewater treatment plant. Introduce the adoption of this item. Second.
I will.
Voting. Councilmember Ramos.
Yes.
Vice President Bennett.
Yes.
President Moore.
Yes.
And item 10 is a resolution authorizing publication of a notice of public hearing of an application to waive Wall Street parking requirements for premise 278 West Park Avenue for a protein shake, juice bar, and supplements.
I will.
Second.
Yes.
Yes.
And finally, item 11 is a resolution authorizing publication of a notice of public hearing of an application to waive Wall Street parking requirements for premise 880 West Beach Street for a wellness center and CBD-related product store.
I will.
Second. Councilmember Ramos.
Yes.
Vice President Bennett.
Yes.
President Moore.
Yes.
We make a motion to close the meeting.
I will.
Second. Voting. Councilmember Ramos. Vice President Bennett.
Yes.
President Moore.
Yes. conversation. We're going to engage in civil discourse. Also, want to remind you that just because you can say it doesn't mean you need to say it. So let's move forward. All right, let's hear from Mary Lois Savage.
Mary Wallace Savage, I'm going to speak first from Northeast Bank. This past weekend we had our summer family party, and quite a bit of discussion was about near vehicle crashes with pedestrians, bicycles, and I think we need a little more presence. People roll through the stop sign, so don't stop. They back up at one-way streets, and it's really unsafe, and it's like a speedway down there on Pine, and it doesn't get any better. I know you put more signs up. I know Commissioner Hackney has people go down there, but it has to be, it can't be sporadic anymore. It has to be more consistent. 2 people almost got T-boned on Saturday, and a young girl on a bicycle was able to swerve at the last second before she was hit from people going north or south onto Pine Street. And people just aren't stopping. They just don't stop. So if we could work on that a little bit. Okay, now I'm speaking as Mary. I'd like to thank John for bringing some of these events that happen, that we have all this news about, to light. I would like to thank you for that. You know, considering the payouts and what went on, and hopefully we get some answers. So thank you. When you have meetings, as you said before, Ms. Moore, when you have these meetings, like with the exempts, or you have some meetings with people, do you invite the rest of the people to go? Because that was a bone of contention with the other people. So are any of the people going with you? My philosophy in life is don't meet with anyone unless you have somebody with another parent.
Absolutely. Just
And
for
I want to know
clarification.
if you had these meetings, were any of the other council members asked to come?
Sure. So first of all, for clarification, I didn't have several meetings. All I did was just introduce myself as the council president to the members who are exempt. However, that information was communicated to all of the members of the council via email. Everything that I've been doing, they've been receiving actual email updates from me so that we're all on the same page. And I didn't leave anything out. They were aware of what the items that I outlined, what they were. They already received that information before I went, because we want to stay on one team. So we're working to building a unified voice, and I understand exactly what you're saying, and that's my philosophy as well.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, and thank you for always coming. Oh, I'm sorry. Now we'll hear from Tracy Eichler. Good evening.
Good evening, Tracy Adler, Long Beach, New York. So what is it going to take to make the beach accessible for everyone? That means people with disabilities, our senior citizens, and moms and dads with strollers. It's an election year, folks. I think it's time to listen to your constituents to take some action for 2020 beach season. There are approximately 32 beach entrances in Nevada and Pacific. Can we get 25% beach accessibility? That's just 8 max. It's not a stretch goal, it's doable, and it's actually exceedable. The timeline, May 2016. It circulated on Facebook, a petition by the Project 11561 group. I don't even know who they are. But they encouraged the City Council to place mobility maps throughout Long Beach. 900 residents, all constituents, and hopefully all voters supported the effort. They asked for 6 maps to be placed, 4 on the east End and 2 on the west end, that would be 19% beach accessibility. The city manager and council at the time said it was already in the works, the mats were planned, they had 3 mats installed. The placement was inconsistent, in some cases missing altogether. They were not used correctly, never making it to the water line. 3 mats, 9.5% beach accessibility. July 2017, Long Beach Command and Officers Association donates a mobility mat. The COA president at the time actually stated that people are begging for beach access. So the 3 mats become 4 mats upon the city council passing a resolution to accept the donation in 2017. The city put in a request for funding with Assembly Representative Miller, who has yet to get state legislation passed. 4 mats in 2017, that's 12.5% beach accessibility. July 2018 to July 2019, nothing. No increase in beach accessibility. We have the same 4 mats, the placement remains inconsistent, and they still aren't being used properly. The state funding promised by the Assembly Representative Miller, nowhere to be seen. The bill didn't even make it out of committee. As far as placement inconsistency, our website states, as of this morning, the mats are available on Minnesota, Long Beach Road, Neptune, and Lafayette. Wrong. When I called the city to confirm the location this morning, Long Beach Road does not have a mat, but Lincoln does. Do they reach the water line? The answer was no. So it's August 20th, 2019. We have 20.5% beach accessibility, which hasn't changed in 3 years. Stop waiting for the issue to go away. Stop waiting for state funding and start listening to the residents who are begging for access.
You can finish your thought. Go ahead.
What brought me here tonight is just another Facebook post. This time it's the I Love Long Beach group. I don't know who they are either. We have raised funds in the past. The center of town looks like a cemetery with the memorial gardens. I'm still trying to figure out what the cost of those is, what the annual maintenance is, and who benefits. No one is visiting those falls, no one. The boardwalk is full of paid advertisements for local businesses. Does the city make any money on those flags? If yes, where does the money go? To the residents of Long Beach benefit. The memorial benches provide comfort in more ways than one, and they are a result of donations by everyday citizens. I repeat, donation. It is time to refocus. It's time to have a goal. I challenge you to raise beach accessibility to 25%. That's 8 mats in the next 10 months. Start a fundraising campaign, accept donations, redirect funds. I mean, do we really need a paper calendar in 2019? Alexa can tell me when the garbage pickup is. Get creative. I researched the mats. DMS, who is involved with the COA donation, have mats with ad panels. They have in-house design capabilities. I'll make it easy for you. I will personally donate the first mat. Just think if the 900 respondents in 2016 donated $10 each, we would have 2 more mats. You raise money to run for office. You could raise money to increase the quality of life for the residents of Long Beach, making the beach accessible to everyone. It's not a stretch goal, it's doable, and it can be exceeded. Thank you.
Stay there, don't go away. So first of all, you've raised this issue, and you're not alone in raising this issue. First, I'm glad that I got to connect with you today. I'm glad that you came out. I really appreciate that, because there are so many people who do raise a lot of concerns, and I get notifications all day when I'm at work, but I'm grateful that you actually took the time to come out tonight.
Time today at work to do
Okay.
nothing but this.
However, I applaud the fact that you as a resident are willing to actually donate a mat. That speaks to who you are as an individual, that speaks to the fact that you love this Long Beach community. However, this is a local government, and we are responsible. We're responsible to show the residents that we do care and that we are committed to equal access and all access. This has been, I want to say, a challenge. I can only speak to the 4 years that I've been here, because I was here listening to people who are also very emotional because they want to access everything that everyone else has. And the beaches should be available for all to enjoy. What do we need to do now? We need to take action. So first, we need to move forward, and we need to rectify the issue of communication. There are a lot of people who, again, for whatever reason, there's a misunderstanding about where the mats are located. We did reach out during the last city council meeting because there were some questions raised with respect to the placement of the mats. And we reached out, and Mr. Phil Regona confirmed the placement of those areas. So we will go back, we will find out. I will request that our ADA officer come to the next meeting and give us a full report, number one. Number two, in terms of 8 mats, we will have a conversation. This is the first time where, again, we're in a position where we can actually begin to look at what the residents have said and plan accordingly. This is not the first time that residents have demanded that something take place. So now we're moving in a different direction where we're listening to the residents and we will take some kind of action. Whether I'm up here next year or not, we will take action with respect to these MOBI mats because this is about equal access for everyone. So your position has been heard. I am going to ask Ms. Miranda if you could just speak a little bit with respect to the challenges that some of the mats, some of the challenges that we face with respect to addressing this issue.
I read the statements back in 2017 about the trucks and the vehicles and, yeah, you don't have to repeat it for me.
Well, it goes beyond that. And just to cover, over the last 2 summers, remember we had a lot of work going on with the Army Corps, so mats were inconsistent and did have to be moved around. Originally, the mat was at Long Beach Road, and the Army Corps was just finishing up work with National Grid for their 48-inch pipe crossing at Long Beach Road, so we needed to move that mat, and that's why I went to Lincoln. My apologies that it didn't end up on the website. There's several issues that mats do cause for us. We cannot run the mats down to the high tide line. It interferes with removal of tide line debris. This year we've had an excess of seaweed. Also, the mats are very labor intensive to put down and take up. They, every 50 feet, require a 2-foot stake. And we do a lot of beach maintenance to get that sand to be like talcum powder on the beach. That's what people love about the Long Beach sand. The mats would interfere with sand raking. Unfortunately, even the one the commanding officers donated last year, one of the sand rakes just caught it and tore it up. It makes it very difficult and it's labor intensive for us to pick all those mats up. So those are the issues that we're faced with in terms of beach maintenance. I will review it again with our beach superintendent, but these are the things that we have to face to make sure that we have, the kind of sand and beach that everybody in Long Beach enjoys.
Have you reached out to other communities where they have these on every single beach access point?
I'm not aware of any community that has every single beach access.
I'll provide you with a list.
Okay, so you're going to stay in contact with us, but also just keep in
I'm
mind.
going to stalk you.
That's fine. That's fine. I have no problem with that. I have lots of stalkers. So I'll just say this, in terms of the communication, we will need people like yourselves to be a part of the committee. Many of you who were here for 4 years understand that I did ask that we could have a citizen group that could come together and meet on a regular basis. I never received responses from people, but maybe now people are fed up and they're finally ready to be a part of that conversation, and I will definitely be in contact with you at that time. So thank you, and we're going to move forward. All right, Ms. Preston. Good evening, Liz, and I forgot to say hi to MacGyver.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Ms.
Liz Preston, Long Beach, New York. I sent an email to all the city council members regarding the legal issues that were, can you hear me?
Yes.
That were brought up last week by Sam Pinto. So I'm just going to run through some questions and just to repeat what was in my email so everyone knows. Regarding outside legal counsel is being paid or provided to for the benefit of current and former employees during these investigations. If there is any outside counsel, and if there's more than one, who is it? Is the city itself paying for outside counsel for itself? If any outside legal counsel is being paid for the city, who made that decision? And was Mr. Agostisi, whose own payment is subject to investigation, is he receiving outside counsel or inside counsel regarding to the investigation? And if any outside counsel is being paid for the city, actually, why is that? The city should not have to be concerning itself into whether city funds were misappropriated. Why on earth would more taxpayer dollars be used to defend against investigations into whether monies were improperly paid out? My second thing. On last Friday, I was at a meeting with Ryan regarding,
We're with you.
regarding the flood insurance. If you may remember, Senator Schumer came to Mr. Flammer's house and we did a presser regarding the increase of flood insurance. It's a reality that is coming down the road, and many in New Jersey shoreline communities have put in resolutions to be adopted. And I have a couple of them here, and I would give them to you, but just so everyone knows what's coming down the pike from the federal government and the flood insurance. Point Pleasant has proposed, whereas, I put that word, the proposed authorization provides for the following unacceptable terms. The increase of rates for primarily homeowners up to 18% annually until their actuary rate, meaning every 4 years, may double. The increase of rates to secondary homeowners will be up to 25% annually until they reach their actuary rate. The increase to risk premiums for communities that have higher construction replacement costs, that's us. The implementation of risk rating 2.0 mapping, which will result in higher premiums the closer you live to the water, and an increase to the cost compliance limit that is still insufficient to meet actual numbers. I'm going to give these to our city clerk for you to look at, and if we can get a resolution like the other communities, we would be the first on Long Island to do so.
Okay. All right, so first, thank you for the information with respect to the flood insurance, and we will definitely do whatever we can to review the material and get back to you in a timely manner. With respect to the questions regarding the current, I would say current investigations, I guess I would ask our court counsel to, are we able to make any kind of statement? Obviously, we can't share detailed information, but is there something, a general statement that we can make to the public with respect to the counsel that's being used to either assist those individuals who are within the city of Long Beach in terms of, with respect to the payments?
I was at the last meeting. I think this kind of touches upon the ins and outs of the investigations that are pending, and the only thing I could really comment is we're cooperating with any pending investigations. As far as the other questions, I can't really answer this.
Okay, so we can only say that we're, at this time, as a city, we're just cooperating with the ongoing investigation.
That's right.
Okay, and we can't speak to any costs in terms of legal costs or legal expenses that the city is in some way incurring at this time. Are we not allowed to speak to or address the expenses from a legal perspective?
From a legal perspective, I actually don't know the answer to that right now.
I can't hear you.
I don't know the answer to that question right now. I would have to look into that and see if I can provide you an answer after the fact.
Okay. And at some point, I guess, will we as a city be able to release some kind of financial document that will outline the amount of legal expenses that the city is actually going to expend as a result of this investigation and our cooperation with the investigation?
I will look into the question and the issue you presented.
Okay, thank you. And this, oh, I'm sorry, Ms. Miranda.
Yeah, just just wanted to remind all residents that, we do participate in the community rating system, and you should all check your flood insurance based on the work that the Deputy Commissioner does on the CRS. You are all entitled to a 15% reduction in your flood insurance, and you should make sure that you're actually getting that 15%, because we do a lot of work on the community rating system, and for you not to get the 15% would be a shame. So you should check on your flood insurance to make sure that they've included the 15% reduction.
Okay, I will ask our communication director to create something so we can get that information out as soon as possible to the residents so that they're aware of this 15% reduction that you've referenced. Thank you for that information. At this time, we'll hear from Mr. Roy Lester.
A couple of questions. The signs on the J, were they ever replaced? I haven't seen them.
I believe, well, the last time I was on tour was only about 2 weeks ago. I saw the signs. They are there. The signs are there.
All right, good.
Is there a particular area that you did not see a sign?
Well, where I normally swim in Lafayette, I don't remember seeing them right the boardwalk. I don't remember seeing them, but it's good if they are.
Yes.
I'll have to look.
Please let me know.
Yeah. The bike lanes on the boardwalk. I keep bringing that up. I consider it, especially on weekends, very dangerous. Sometimes they have the walk signs out in the middle of the thing, and there's nothing going on, like they were this morning. There was no event going on, and they put the walk signs right in the middle. I don't understand that. It seems like a hazard for people who are riding their bikes to ride into. But we talked about marking those bike lanes, and we've been talking about that for years.
Years.
And nothing's getting done.
Yeah, I'm not going to disagree in any way. This is an unresolved issue. This has been going on for years. Again, there are so many residents who come up with very creative and innovative ways to address the issue. Again, at a certain point, we will address this issue and we will come back before our spring season to at least share something, because this is unresolved.
We are testing paint right now, aren't
We just tested some paint and it washed right off. The Debbie wood is so dense it's hard to paint it. So we're looking at the possibility of at each entrance to the boardwalk is replacing a strip of Debbie wood with yellow pine and painting and repainting it with markings. Some of the issues are though too, the bikers, think it's a speedway. Maybe there's certain times where you can go those speeds on your bike to exercise, but when the boardwalk is in its highlight during the day, there's little kids, they don't read signs, they don't read lines. Maybe the bikers have to slow down a little bit too and take it as it's meant to be a nice leisurely ride to enjoy the view, not a speedway.
Right.
Another thing is remedial measures, obviously, a potential remedial measure is or should be construed as an emission of any sort, needless to say.
Yeah,
Most
most of the bikers I know have the big fat tires and no helmets, and they're not looking at it as a speedway. But last thing, we used to have showers on the beach. What happened?
Again, as part of the Army Corps project, when they built the crossovers out another 90 feet, part of their contract was install water supply for us, and they're still in the process of doing that. Once water supply is installed to the end of each crossover, the showers will be reinstalled.
The showers will be at the end of the crossover? They're not going to be...
They'll be at the beginning of the beach. Where you come off the beach, they'll be on the water side of the crossover, like they used to be. Just right now, there's not a water source because they're still running that.
Okay.
So they're still in transition, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Hang on for next summer.
Used to it.
Thank you. Leanna Baker. Good evening, Leanna. Thank you for being here tonight.
Good evening. Thank you for letting me speak. And maybe. The reason why I wanted to speak before you is I to Park Avenue. And during the week, Monday through Friday, between the hours of 7 and 9, and evenings between roughly about 4:30 and 6:30, we have a traffic problem. People are driving in excessive speeds, and I heard the young lady speak about law enforcement. If I had my way, I'd have all of our cops in my neighborhood, but that's not gonna happen. You know, it's unrealistic. You know, I want them to give out tickets. So, you know, they've been tearing up our street for the gas lines. So I'm wondering, are you going to repave that street? And if you are you gonna put in speed bumps? I'd like to talk to you about it. All right.
Those streets will be repaved by National Grid when they finish with their gas main work. We've got them agreed to repave the street. However, they will not put speed bumps in. That would have to be done through a petition by the residents, and then we would have to pay for that separately out of city funds.
Okay. So who on this board can I talk to get that done?
The speed bumps?
Yeah.
Yeah, the speed bump is done through, it's my understanding, it's done through the Long Beach Police Department. All right, you would have the opportunity to actually access the petition. You would go to your neighbors, you would bring it back there, and then the process would begin.
Yeah, because not all neighbors want speed bumps in certain blocks, so we wait to get a petition from everyone.
Well, I've been speaking to my neighbors, and what we've been encountering, and this is not just summertime, on the weekends, believe it or not, people are driving more slow because they're looking for parking.
Absolutely.
So it's when they're going to work and coming back to work, and just last night, what prompted me to come here, it's my first time here actually, her and her little girl were almost mowed down by a reckless driver. I've almost been hit. I had a guy get out of his car and start yelling at me because he didn't see me. He was too busy on his vaping pipe. So it's getting out of control. I notified law enforcement because people think we're a throughway at Kennedy Park Avenue when they're going to work and coming home. I will go to the police department. I'll do what you requested. And how many signatures am I going to use?
Has to be a majority, I believe, of the residents on the block,
Okay.
from, one intersection to the next.
Oh, I'm going to do it down to Maple Avenue. So, all right, then.
Thank you. Please stay in contact with us so we're aware of where you are with respect to the progress.
Oh, yes,
All right.
absolutely.
So, before we move on, just a question. One of the reasons you're getting that traffic, and I will say I'm in one, I'm one of those people, is because the timing of the lights on Park Avenue is all screwed up. So, you can't make it down Park Avenue without hitting multiple lights. So I guess, and I don't think our police commission.
I wouldn't mind the traffic if they were
If
driving
they
the proper
obey the traffic laws.
Exactly, but we're not seeing that. I'm seeing the California stops rolling through the stop signs at like about 30, 40 miles
I see
an hour.
everyone too.
You know, so
But who controls the timing on the lights? Is that the county?
Still the
That
county.
is the county.
The county.
So therein lies the problem, is the lights are improperly timed, so you can't make it down, so people go down the side streets. Because
So-
they,
I'm sorry to interrupt you, Councilman.
Yes.
So is there somebody within this legislative body who works with the county to correct that?
it should be our police department, I believe the traffic
It's on you
division.
guys.
Well, I don't think they do. That should fall under the traffic division.
Absolutely, yes. And you can reach out to them, and I want to encourage you to reach out to all of your neighbors and encourage them to also make phone calls, because what happens is if you're just the one phone call, sometimes it's heard, but obviously if several people begin to call, then maybe they will post someone out on your block to look into that. But we thank you so very much.
All right, thank you.
All right, let's hear from Jay Gessler.
Hi, good evening, Jay Gussie, Long Beach. Not having explicitly heard otherwise, I'm proceeding on the belief that good welfare is still governed by the Anthony Aramo imposed 3 minutes of podium time rule. Accordingly, ask the council not to interrupt me during my comments. Of course, if I'm wrong about this, I invite clarification from the council.
Okay, so you were here last week. I made it clear that that was not the case. Therefore, you may proceed.
I'm hard here, I missed that.
All right.
In any event, a few meetings back, I asked whether or not the city was supplying or footing the bill lawyers to represent city employees in connection with the various investigations by various agencies, including the NSOPA, New York State Control, and various federal authorities regarding, among other things, the illegal payout to, quote, separated, unquote, employees. I got no answer. Last meeting, another speaker asked the same question. ACM Agostisi answered, and I'm quoting here, none that I'm aware of, period, no, end quote. So, according to Mr. Agostisi, he's unaware of the city supplying any legal representation to any of these people in connection with these criminal investigations. Another speaker spoke tonight since I wrote my comments, basically asking the same question. Mr. Berrios gave you some roundabout non-answer about, I don't even know, I can't even discern what it was that he meant. But this really is a pretty straightforward issue. I've been informed that the city is providing legal representation to various city employees and ex-city employees in connection, I should say, with these various criminal investigations. The question that I have asked and others have asked is not how much is the city paying. I understand it's an ongoing criminal investigation. We may not know for some time how much the city is paying. It's a direct yes or no question. Is the city providing legal representation, in-house, out-of-house, however they're doing it, to any of these individuals? And I am disappointed at the council not insisting, demanding that court counsel and or the acting city manager provide an answer, not just to us, but to you guys. You guys are ultimately responsible for where city's dollars go. We deserve an answer. Thirdly, as regards some comments Mr. Miranda made earlier regarding Moby mat placement and his bragging, if you will, about the quality of our sand, I think he described it as talcum powder. My question is, are the mobility challenge not on, pardon the pun, equal footing with the able-bodied in terms of their ability to experience this fine quality sand? I'm sure that the law and common decency says otherwise. Calling on, regarding Council President Moore's comments at the outset, I mean, calling on citizens and athletes to conclude their investigations into the illegal payouts is obviously a step in the right direction, but really there's nothing the council can do to force any investigative entity to speed up the process of their investigation. What is within the council's power is to take immediate action directed at removing the architect of these illegal payouts, and that is acting city manager Rob Agostisi. Every day that Agostisi continues to be employed by the city is another day that he has an opportunity to destroy evidence and or obstruct the investigation of his own wrongdoing.
All right. We're moving into the script. We're moving into evaluative language.
Well,
so I'm going to ask you to wrap up your statement.
If Mr. Agostisi wants to seek legal recourse,
We're not responding to anyone because he's speaking to the chair. He's addressing the chair. So as long as he addresses the chair, I'm listening to you.
I'm
And that means
I'm
that.
expressing my belief, and the council is free to disregard it. That the city has been unable to identify a successor to assume the day-to-day management of the city is not an excuse for Agostisi to still working here. It's a cop-out, and it's a disservice to the residents, and it's an affront to open, honest, and accountable government. The city cannot wait another day to remove this criminal. Yes, I'm calling him
Okay, so now
from
we're not
our
civil.
midst. You don't have to agree with me, but
Doesn't
you have
matter.
to respect my right to
And
express my belief.
right, absolutely, and I asked you last week, and I'm asking you again, that we're not going there anymore. We have to engage in
All you have to do
civic
is hear me.
conversation.
Ignore me if you want.
I don't want to ignore you because you're a resident. You already, your time has expired, and I allowed you to continue, but now if we're
But you
engaged
already
in
set the
attack,
precedent for letting us
absolutely,
go on beyond that.
absolutely, but if we're
I'll
attacking
conclude by
people,
saying you can toss the word
Let's
transparency
conclude.
all you want. It doesn't mean a thing as long as the enemy of transparency, Mr. Agostisi, continues to work for our city. I renew my call for the city council to fire Agostisi, not a week from now, not a month from now, tomorrow.
okay, thank you. We'll hear from Nora Egan at this time.
Sorry.
I said thank you.
Nora Member Egan, Long Beach. Just curious, is Humi Diamond coming back to any meetings? She's been away for, what, 2.5 meetings?
Again, I have no idea what happened this evening. When I arrived, I was here with my council members. I did not receive an official communication from her. As soon as I do, hopefully by the next time we have our meetings, I'll share it with the public.
Okay, great. Speaking of communication, you brought up a very valid point earlier about having open communication and
Yes.
responding to people. I don't know if the foreign office is very busy, but they've been lead on responding in the past few days, so if we could follow up on that. And also I sent an email to all city council people possibly 3 days ago, maybe 2.5 days ago, and didn't get a response from any 5 of you.
Okay.
So if somebody could read and respond, that'd be great.
Okay, I will reach out to you personally. Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much. I appreciate it. Eileen Hess.
Eileen Hessian, Long Beach.
Good evening.
Mary Volosevich attended the USA National Lifeguard Championships in Virginia. And I think maybe we should congratulate our lifeguards who came in 9th place in a national meeting where many states sent many groups of lifeguards, 40 in all. So congratulations to the lifeguards.
I'm surprised because, Mary did say that she was going to bring back the good news. I thought she was going to include it in her.
She meant to.
Oh, all right. Well, if I guess after the meeting, I'll take the information and we'll make sure that we get something up on our Facebook page.
Very good. She
To
passed the
celebrate.
information along to me.
Well, thank you.
The second thing is that, President Moore, I'd like to thank you for the follow-up questions that you're asking of people to help to clarify what their concerns are. And third, I don't like to bring this up, but I am going to. President Moore, when you were speaking about the overpayments at the very beginning of the meeting,
Yes.
Mr. Agostisi started laughing. I assume it was nervous laughter, but I would like to say, Mr. Agostisi, you're still our acting city manager. It was just rude. Please try to show some respect and dignity while President Moore is speaking.
Ms. Hessian, I wasn't reacting to anything. Ms. Hessian, I wasn't reacting.
You were laughing.
No, Ms. Hessian, I'm not going to sit here and listen to your,
You were laughing.
I'm not
You
going to sit
were
here
laughing.
on the subject of ridiculous political hijab. Enough. I wasn't reacting to anything Ms. Moore said. Just stop.
But you were laughing.
No, I wasn't reacting to anything Ms. Moore
Maybe you weren't reacting, but you were giggling away.
No, Ms.
Well,
Hessian.
why not do
The
an
clarification.
invitation? Thank
Let's
you.
move. Oh, thank you. All right. Our last speaker this evening is Helen Frost.
Good evening, I'm Helen Frost from Long Beach.
Good evening. Thank you for coming this time.
Almost 2 years ago, I put in a bench request to add a plaque. My son passed away, and I have a bench for 9/11 memorial. And I asked him to do this. I filled it out. I paid for it in October of 2017. I have made a humongous amount of phone calls. I spoke to Bianca for at least a year, then she got moved, and then this girl Sky took over. And every time I call, I'm told it'll be done. It's almost 2 years, and it's not done. And I have a canceled check. They lost my paperwork. I have a canceled check for $555. I either want my money back. I'm disgusted. I really am. I think this is disgraceful. My niece got a bench in 4 months, and I'm waiting for this for almost 2 years. I have the paperwork. I gave it to some other lady. I've been up here a million times, and when I walk into that office where the paperwork is, I said, no wonder they lost my paperwork. It was stacked so high with stuff all over the place. There's no consistency to this. I want to know, am I going to get this plaque, or am I going to get a check back?
All right, so first First, I want to thank you for coming tonight. On behalf of the city of Long Beach, we express our deep apology, sincere apology for the time and also for all the anguish that you've endured in the past 2 years. We are grateful for people like your son who unfortunately perished in 9/11. We know that anyone who was lost during that time, we consider all of them as angels because of what they went through, because they were Americans and they died in this unfortunate situation. 3, we're not going to let you leave. I know everybody wants to leave, but we want you to hang out with us for a few minutes because we need to get to the bottom of this today. We need to resolve this so that we'll take the information from you and at least we can give you the information that you deserve because your family has been waiting for close to 2 years to have this resolved. All right? I'm not sure if anyone else can address this issue here, so I just need to speak to those who are here. I'm not sure if Ms. Miranda, you can speak to it, but we need all of your contact information, and we want to resolve this as soon as possible.
Okay. Thank you.
Just that DPW used to handle this, and when Bianca was transferred promoted to work in tax assessor's office, we lost it was moved down to recreation. But one of the issues has been over the last couple of years with the change in the walkovers, we're moving a lot of benches around. We have 920 benches on the boardwalk, so if they've got lost in the shuffle, but I'll take the information, look into it personally, and see that it gets done.
Excellent. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Thank you, Commissioner. We really appreciate that. Just 2 brief announcements. I just need to let you know, this is on behalf of West End Arts. They're participating in a community bag program, which means that if you have the opportunity to go to Stop and Shop, if you actually purchase a bag that says GIVE on it, G-I-V-E, they will receive $1 for each donation. Every time this $2.50 reusable community bag is sold, and the actual money will actually go to help our artists who are part of the West End Arts Council. And then lastly, on this Saturday, if anyone is available, we're asking that you would come out for Summer in the City by the Sea. This is an art walk. It's something different and really exciting that's taking place here. We're going to have different displays throughout Long Beach, and our first point will be at the Magnolia Community Center. That information will also be available to you. I want to thank you for your patience. I also want to thank you for your presence this evening. We hope that you will continue to come out, tell your neighbors, tell your friends. It is so important for us to be together and to have this conversation. Was there a clarification?
Yeah, I just wanted to go over that USLA before I have to leave.
Yes.
Okay.
The meeting is over, but
I'm so sorry. I totally forgot. Yes, our Long Beach lifeguards competed in Virginia Beach. There were 40 teams, many teams. California, their lifeguards all year round. Florida, Texas, Canada was there, Puerto Rico was there. They were all in all 40 teams. Our team has always come in the top 10. We had, I think the Division lifeguards did very well also. I wasn't there Wednesday, I was driving down. But our lifeguards ended up in 9th place out of almost 40 teams. And a lot of those teams are lifeguards all year round, like I just said. So I just think they need the recognition. They do a great job here, but they really, really did a great job showing Long Beach, New York.
Oh, thank you so much. And with that, we congratulate our lifeguards, even though they came in 9th place. You're #1 in the city of Long Beach. Everyone have a good evening.